Nerfed.ai, GT6, and Sony's massive week. I am Vanessa Calderon, and if you thought 2026 was going to be a slow burn, I hope you've been hydrating, because the news cycle just hit turbo. You can follow all our deep dives and technical breakdowns over at nerfed.neuralnewscast.com as we track this massive shift in the industry landscape.
And I'm Marcus Shaw. We're deep in the Nerfed.ai labs today because between Sony dropping a marathon showcase and Take-Two finally putting some respect on our calendars, there's a lot of technical ground to cover. It feels like we've been waiting for a week like this since the start of the current console generation.
Emphasis on the ground, Marcus. Let's start with the one that actually makes people want to buy a console this decade. Take-Two Interactive just dropped their Q3 fiscal report, and they are doubling down on the November 19th, 2026 release date for Grand Theft Auto 6. They aren't budging despite the rumors.
It's rare to see that much confidence this early, but CEO Strauss Zelnick basically told investors they're in the home stretch. The most interesting part for me, the full-scale marketing campaign kicks off this summer. We've had 2 trailers over the last year, but the real floodgates are about to open.
Yeah, it feels like they are finally ready to show us the actual gameplay loops instead of just cinematic vibes in Vice City.
I'll believe the date when I'm actually stealing a car in Vice City, Marcus. Rockstar's delicate approach to promotion usually means 1 trailer every 18 months and a lot of cryptic tweets. They have a history of pushing things back by 6 months at the very last second to polish the lighting or the AI.
That is the Rockstar way, but with Take-Two's stock price so tied to this specific fiscal window, the pressure is immense. They're forecasting record-breaking net bookings for 2026 and 2027, and you don't hit those numbers without a certain game about car theft leading the charge on every storefront.
Exactly. Nobody wants to launch their AAA RPG the same week everyone is glued to GTA. But hey, Sony didn't want them to have all the fun. They just wrapped a 60-minute state of play on February 12th, and it was quite the marathon of announcements that covered everything from indies to first party.
60 minutes is a lifetime in state of play terms. Usually we get 20 minutes of indie sizzle reels and maybe one more thing at the end. This time, they actually brought out the heavy hitters from PlayStation Studios and global third-party teams. It's clear Sony is trying to solidify their 2026 lineup.
They have to, Vanessa. With the rumors of the Switch 2 taking over the conversation later this year, Sony needs to remind everyone why they spent $700 on a PS5 Pro. They showed off some incredible ray tracing features and technical upgrades for their upcoming slate that really justify the hardware.
Right, because nothing says next-gen power like an hour-long presentation. It was dense, it was flashy, and honestly, it needed to be. Players have been starving for some actual first-party roadmap updates. We saw glimpses of titles that have been in the dark for years, and the fidelity was just staggering.
I was particularly impressed with the third-party support. We're seeing developers really push the boundaries of the custom SSD architecture. The load times in some of those demos were basically non-existent, which is what we were promised at the start of the generation, but are only now seeing consistently.
It's a turning point for sure. But speaking of roadmaps that look like a car crash, can we talk about Ubisoft? It feels like every time they take 1 step forward with a solid game release, they take 3 steps back with their internal management and labor relations. The news out of France is getting intense.
Wild how consistently they find themselves in these headlines. Just yesterday, February 12th, reports came out that Ubisoft workers are claiming the company is still not listening after that massive 1,200-person strike. They're even talking about taking formal legal action now, which is a significant escalation.
I'm shocked, truly. A massive corporation ignoring a strike. That's never happened in the history of capitalism. Ubisoft is out here firing team leads for sharing YouTube videos about labor rights, while their Prince of Persia remake is stuck in developmental purgatory. It's a bold strategy for a company struggling.
The legal angle is the real kicker, though. The unions are specifically targeting the return-to-office mandates and the way recent layoffs were handled. They're arguing that the company is effectively forcing constructive dismissal by changing work conditions so drastically without proper negotiation with the staff representatives.
It's a mess, Marcus. When your developers are spending more time on the picket line than in the engine, the games suffer. We've seen this with the delays to their big titles. You can't ship a polished, open-world game when the core team is fundamentally at odds with the executives on the top floor. Shifting gears to something a bit more positive, Bethesda is over here acting like they've found the fountain of youth. They just revealed their Nintendo Switch 2 roadmap, and it's actually kind of impressive. They are really leaning into the portability of their back catalog and some new hits.
The technical specs for the Switch 2 must be a massive leap for Bethesda to be this aggressive. We are finally getting Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition, hitting the handheld on February 24th. It's the full experience, including the high-resolution texture packs and all the DLC, which is a first for a portable console.
I'm curious to see how it holds up. Bethesda games are notorious for taxing CPUs with all those physics objects, and if the Switch 2 can handle a cluttered downtown Boston in Fallout 4 without turning into a slideshow, then Nintendo really has built something special with their new hardware partnership.
Yep, and that's not all. We're also getting Indiana Jones and the Great Circle on May 12th, and a remastered Oblivion later this year. Bringing Cyrodiil to a Nintendo platform for the first time is a massive technical win, even if the game is technically old enough to vote at this point.
Marcus, it's Oblivion. I will buy it for the 5th time and I will like it. It's the law. But the Great Circle coming to Switch 2 is the real shocker, because that game was built on the latest id Tech engine. Seeing that run on a mobile chipset is going to be a fascinating case study.
It really speaks to the scalability of modern engines. If Bethesda can get Indiana Jones running on what is essentially a high-powered tablet, it opens the door for so many other publishers to bring their current-gen exclusives over to Nintendo's ecosystem without making massive visual sacrifices in the process.
It feels like a total disaster for anyone who thought the Switch 2 would be another underpowered device. If it can handle the Great Circle, it's a serious contender. But let's pivot to something a bit more frame data heavy. Tekken 8 just dropped patch 2.09 on February 9th, and it's shaking up the meta. Like, the balance changes are actually making the game feel fresh again for the competitive scene.
The Season 3 pass is officially live for $35, which has caused a bit of a stir in the community regarding price points, but the content looks solid. The technical side of this patch is mostly housekeeping, but the roadmap they announced along with it is what truly matters to the fans.
The roster expansion is the big draw. Kunimitsu is scheduled for late spring, followed by Bob in the summer and Roger Jr. in the fall. They're really leaning into the refined theme for the Battle Balance update coming in March. They want to tone down some of the more aggressive heat system mechanics.
No way, they are actually bringing back Roger Jr.? That's going to be hilarious to see in a modern 4K engine with all the fur physics. But on a serious note, the March update is what I'm watching. The heat system has been controversial for being too rewarding for mindless aggression at certain ranks.
I just want Kunimitsu to hurry up so I can stop losing to Hawaring mashers. But seriously, between Bethesda's port party and Tekken's 5-week anniversary campaign, there's actually a lot to play while we wait for the Ubisoft drama to inevitably end up in a courtroom. It's a weirdly busy February.
It's definitely the calm before the storm. Once we hit the summer and Rockstar starts showing off GTA 6 in earnest, the industry is going to revolve around that one game. Sony's State of Play was a smart move to get their messaging out now before the autumn marketing blitz begins in earnest.
Brutal, the way some of these smaller games are going to get buried, though. If you're an indie developer with a 2026 release date, you are probably having some very stressed meetings with your marketing team right now. You either launch very early in the year or you wait until 2027 to breathe.
Or you find a niche that GTA doesn't cover, which is getting harder every year. But we've seen indies thrive in the gaps before. The key will be platform visibility, especially on the Switch 2, which will be hungry for content. That's where the creative risk-taking usually pays off for the smaller studios.
I mean, it's about finding the players who want something different. Not everyone wants to play a massive crime simulator for 300 hours, although millions certainly do. There's plenty of room for high-concept puzzles and narrative experiences that Rockstar doesn't really touch with their games.
Looking at the broader picture, the industry is definitely consolidating its excitement around these tentpole releases. We're seeing fewer mid-budget games and more all-in bets from the major publishers. It makes for an exciting year as a fan, but it's definitely a high-stakes environment for the creators.
It's a big week. GTA 6 is real, Sony is talking, and the Switch 2 is finally getting the library it deserves. We'll be tracking all of it here. Make sure you're checking the site for the latest frame rate tests on these new Bethesda ports as soon as they drop later this month.
We'll be keeping a close eye on the Ubisoft situation as well. If legal action actually moves forward, it could set a massive precedent for remote work and developer rights across the entire European gaming sector, not just for Ubisoft staff in France. It's a landmark moment for labor in games.
Exactly. It's a story that transcends just the games themselves. It's about how the industry treats the people who make the magic happen. We'll be here to break it all down, technical specs and human stories alike. There's never a dull moment when the tech and the talent collide like this.
I'm just excited to finally have some solid dates to look forward to. The last few years felt like we were living in a constant state of coming soon and indefinite delays. Now the calendar is actually filling up with things that feel tangible and within reach for the first time in a long time.
It's a turning point. That's the wrap for this week. Thanks for hanging with us at Nerfed.ai. I'm Vanessa Calderon, and I'll be spent the rest of my day theorizing about the hidden details in the next Rockstar trailer. There's always something buried in the background of those shots.
Wait, what? You're already starting the frame-by-frame analysis? We haven't even seen the summer trailer yet. But honestly, I can't blame you. The hype is real. I'm Marcus Shaw. Keep your consoles cool and your frame data clean. We'll see you right back here next week for more.
Neural Newscast is AI-assisted, human-reviewed. View our AI transparency policy at neuralnewscast.com.